Rotunda is a new browser built for AI agents, the kind of agent that browses the internet for you, loads pages, clicks buttons, fills out forms, all without showing anything on your screen. The automation tool people use to run those agents is called Playwright, and Playwright drives a browser to do the actual clicking. Normally, that browser is plain Firefox or Chrome, and the big websites have gotten good at spotting a plain browser being driven by software and slamming the door. Rotunda is a swap in replacement for that browser. It's a modified Firefox that looks more like a real person to the websites it visits, so Playwright can drive it into places that block a plain browser. I do a lot of automated quality checking on my own websites with Claude Code, so I genuinely want to know, is this something I should add to my own toolkit and run instead of what I use now? So I put Rotunda head to head against plain Firefox, both of them driven by Playwright on the same Mac across 14 real websites plus one typing test. Rotunda makes three specific promises on its website. So before you switch your agent over to this thing, here's how many of those promises actually survive contact with the real internet. In case you've never heard of Rotunda, it's a modified version of Firefox, the same Firefox you already know, with a layer of changes on top to make it look less like a robot. And do not worry if you hate opening the terminal, because you do not have to. I give Claude Code the link to Rotunda website and it installs the whole thing for me. The modified browser is about 460 megabytes and it tucks itself into a hidden folder on the machine. Then 2 lines of the Playwright code get swapped. So Playwright drives Rotunda instead of plain Firefox. That is the whole setup. The promise is that this modified browser plugs the obvious tells that websites look for, things like a hidden flag that basically shouts, "I'm a robot," an empty list of add-ons where a real browser would have a handful, a blank space where a real browser says what language you speak. Plain Firefox leaks every one of those. Rotunda is supposed to patch them. Real quick, before we get into it, if you're finding this useful so far, tap the like button. It's the easiest free way to support a small channel, and it genuinely helps. Okay, back to the test. So the first test goes to a website that exists purely to catch robots. Think of it as the supermax prison of robot catchers. It throws every check it has at your browser and grades each one. If you get past this one, you have a real shot at the rest. I run plain Firefox through it first, driven by Playwright, and it fails 4 checks in bright red. The robot flag is showing, the add-on list is empty, and the add-on system itself is faked. The language field is blank. Then I run Rotunda through the exact same checks on the exact same machine, and it comes back with 0 red rows. Rotunda patches every one of the 4 classic tells, and that is not a marketing claim. This is the same robot catcher that real security companies test against themselves, and Rotunda walks out clean. Then I move to a second, harder robot catcher. This one runs about 60 separate checks and gives a score from 0 to 100. And here, lower is better, because 0 means you look completely human. Plain Firefox scores 33. Rotunda scores a flat 0. That is the single most measurable result of the whole test. And it goes further. This checker also looks at what fonts and what apps are installed on the machine. Rotunda shows a full, normal looking list, right down to naming everyday apps like Outlook and Adobe Acrobat. It reads exactly like a real desktop computer somebody actually works on. Across 3 different robot catchers, Rotunda came back clean every single time. So the first of Rotunda's 3 promises, the one about being harder to spot, is honest, and the numbers prove it. All of these lab tests are useful, but what really matters is what happens out on the real internet. I tested a tool like this once before, Lightpanda, and I had Playwright drive it against plain Chrome to do actual quality checking on my own website. To find out whether Lightpanda held up on a real working site and whether it's something you'd actually want doing your own website checks, click the card in the corner. Back to the Rotunda test, because here I'm pointing both browsers at the real defenses the big websites use, and the results get a lot more interesting than the lab. I run 14 websites total, and before I tell you the score, I have to flag something I learned the hard way. My first pass used an automatic scorekeeper. If the website said success, I logged a win. Anything else, a loss. The scorekeeper was wrong on several sites. The modern defenses do not bounce you to an error page anymore. The website reports success, the real page title stays up, and then a little window pops up on top of the real page asking you to press and hold to prove you're human. So the scorekeeper thinks it won, but I open the screenshot and I see that press and hold window sitting right on top of the homepage. The alarm system said the door is locked. The door is wide open. The only way to check any of this is to look at every screenshot with your own eyes. Look at the picture, not the scoreboard. That is the single biggest lesson of this whole test. The first real wall I hit belongs to the biggest website defense company on the internet. Plain Firefox gets stuck on the verify you are human checkbox and just times out. It never gets past it. Rotunda gets through cleanly. So that is a real win against the toughest defense out there, and it is the headline reason to install this tool in the first place. Then I hit Zillow. Plain Firefox loads the real Zillow homepage clean. Pictures of houses, search bar, everything. Rotunda gets hit with the press and hold to confirm window and stops dead. The modified browser, the one built specifically to beat sites like this, loses to the plain Firefox it's supposed to replace. Same script, same machine, same minute. Then I tried Twitter, and Twitter tells the same story. Plain Firefox loads the real login page. Rotunda shows a blank white page with a spinner that never stops turning. Two sites where the plain version of Firefox beats the souped up version that was built to win. The rest of the 14 sites come out as ties. Both browsers got the same result, pass or fail. Here's the final tally. Rotunda wins 4, plain Firefox wins 2, and the other 8 are ties. So the verdict on the real walls is mixed. And here's the part that matters more than the score. The wins and losses do not line up by which defense company built the wall. Two different websites, both protected by Datadome, give me opposite outcomes. Rotunda gets blocked on Zillow, but loads Vinted cleanly, the same way plain Firefox does. Same defense company, same browser, same script, opposite outcome depending on which customer site I'm hitting. The lesson: you cannot guess from the name of the defense whether Rotunda will help you. These companies tune their detection for each customer separately. You have to test on the actual website you intend to use it on. Testing something that looks similar will not predict it. Now, this is the point where most people watching will be tempted to give up on Rotunda and go back to a plain browser. Do not do that yet. Those 4 wins matter if you're building an agent that logs into your own accounts and does real work for you. Patching the 4 classic tells genuinely keeps you out of dumb traps. The harder to spot part pays for itself there. The question is whether the rest of the promises pay off too. So I test the third claim, the one Rotunda's marketing leads with, the human-like-typing. Their landing page literally runs a video bragging that Rotunda types like a real person with little pauses and the occasional missed key. So I built a small test for it. I make a simple web page with a text box and I add a stopwatch behind it that records the exact moment every key gets pressed. Then I have each browser type the words hello world into that box, and I watch the timing come out the other side. Plain Firefox types hello world with uneven gaps between the keys, quick bursts and little pauses, the way a person actually does. Rotunda types the same 2 words 7 times faster, and the gaps between its keystrokes are almost perfectly even, which is actually less human than the plain browser, not more. No missed keys, no corrections. So swapping those 2 lines gives you nothing on the typing side. It's not less robotic. It's not even as natural as the browser replaces. It's worse. The human-like typing they advertise does not switch on when you change 2 lines. It lives inside a separate tool of theirs, a completely different way of running the browser. And you have to rebuild your whole setup to use it. And that is the real story. The 2 lines on their landing page give you the hard to spot half of the product. The human-like typing half, the half their entire marketing video is built around, means throwing out your existing setup and rebuilding it inside their other tool. The website said just swap 2 lines. Turns out 2 lines buys you half the product. The other half lives somewhere else and you have to learn it separately. So here is the honest verdict. Rotunda is a backup tool. If you're running Playwright to log into your own accounts and do real work, and a plain browser hits a wall on a site you genuinely need, swap Rotunda in as the browser for that one site and see if it gets through. That is the job this tool actually earns. I'm not switching all of my own website checking over to it. It does not fix a problem I have on most of the sites I touch. And the marketing oversells the rest of the box. There's also a deeper problem with every tool in this category. The big platforms already know Rotunda exists. Every time Rotunda ships an update, they read what changed and tighten their own detection on their next release. This is just how this cat and mouse game works, which is why I do not think any modified browser really wins against the biggest sites in the long run. Before we wrap, here's one question for the comments. I'm always looking for the next tool to put through this kind of testing. So if there's a browser you think I should test next, one you're using for your own agents, or one you've been curious about, tell me below. And if it's a good fit, it goes on the list. This is a small channel, so I read and respond to every single comment personally. Where Rotunda might genuinely work for you is a government website, a small blog, a forum you visit a lot, anywhere without a dedicated team constantly sharpening its defenses. For those, Rotunda earns a spot in the kit as a backup. For the big platforms, do not bet on it. I hope you found this video useful, interesting, or at least entertaining. Hit subscribe to see more of my videos in your feed, and the bell will notify you every time I post a new one. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for making it all the way to the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching one of my videos. Hit the like button, and then I've got a couple of sweet videos that I think you're gonna like. I've got one here and another one over here. You're gonna love them.